Hi, this is Denise Matthew. I hope you're doing well. Back again for another week of the transits. So before I get into that, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here. If you're new, welcome. And if you're somebody who's been coming all along, I'm happy to have you back again. The Mandala of Life experiment continues. And if anybody's interested in jumping on board, please do so. All the information is on the videos. There's a whole tab called the Mandala of Life. And also we have, I have a full community page with a lot of information. One thing I wanted to talk about quickly before I got into the transits is that the whole thing about human design, the body graph, and all those types of things is that we are not meant to fit into the body graph. And what I mean by that is, or that's my opinion. What I mean by that is that the body graph is it's like something that it's an image or a picture of the day we were born, and it could talk about the things that we know about ourselves, the things that we're good at. It can talk about a lot of things. It can talk about our personality. It can talk about things that we didn't know about ourselves. The one thing that I always want to remind everyone is that we do not try and conform to the body graph. The body graph is as it is. And if you go into your body graph or you look at your human design chart or even your astrology chart or any of those other charts, so as soon as you look at that and you see something and you go, well, that's not who I am, well, that's fine. If it isn't who you are, that's fine. And if you want to explore it, you always can. But if it's not something that aligns with you, you don't have to try and be that person or be that gate because for some reason it's in your chart. So that's the most important thing. What it's meant to do is to look at the parts of you that you can recognize, and maybe some of the parts you can't recognize, maybe some of the parts of things that you do that you suddenly realize, oh, that's in my chart and that's probably why I do that. And maybe it's not the highest expression. What can I do to shift that? How can I change that up? Another way to use it is to see how you interact with other people. You might have a power struggle with certain people. And looking at the chart, you could see that maybe you guys have, for instance, like even the 2838. So somebody has a 28 and you have the 38 and you come together and maybe you have this tendency to sort of lock horns or sort of have impasses with each other. Well, you could see that as part of the dynamic that you have with that other person, and understand that when you do start to do those things, you could sort of disengage yourself from it and not make it a big deal anymore, and to learn and see people for who they are as well as who you are. Ultimately, the most important thing is to learn who you are. And then after you learn who you are, if you want to start to learn about other people, and that's cool too. But it's not ever going to be about you becoming what it says in your chart. If you feel it aligns with you, absolutely jump on board and do whatever you want to do with that information. But there is no dogma. There is no, you have to conform, you have to be this, you have to be that. You be you, and the rest of it all sort of works out as it's meant to do. And so we got a lot to talk about today with the transits. So let's get into it. So right now the sun is in the gate 21, and that'll be in there until April 4th. And then it's going to move into the gate 51. Now, I did talk a lot about the gate 21 last week, but I'll just kind of do a general overview. And when we talk about the gate 21, we also have to remember that because the gate 45, I believe Mars is in the gate 45 until the 11th. There's a full channel, and has been for the last little while, for about 5 days, as long as the gate 21, the sun has been transiting the gate 21. So this gives a tribal willpower to the throat, which means that we do have, I mean, right now, even in my area where I'm living, there's another lockdown that they're actually imposing on everybody again. And it's sort of the same mantra. This is the third one around, and people are getting to the point where they're done with it. They have had enough. We had the 2145, and this is a tribal energy. This is an energy that is going to have the willpower to push against anybody who is going against the tribe or trying to control the tribe, because they have their own sense of control. And the thing about anybody who carries control, like if you have the gate 21 in your design, the one thing that you're going to notice is that there's a good chance that you're not going to like when people are trying to control you in any way. In fact, it might be more of a theme for you. As soon as somebody tries to control you, you want to push back because it feels not good to you. The way this energy works, it is all about wanting to have your control, and actually that being part of who you are, this ability to control who you are, what you do, and when you do it. And when it gets to the point where somebody's trying to control you, then that's when you could have this feeling of pushback. This control is really good for business or any types of things like that. But my feeling is that as like, I think like between April 3rd, April 4th, I'm recording this a little bit early. I think that this whole control be something that's going to show up, because what's happening is people are not wanting the control anymore. And the control is not going to go away, because it is going to show up. I believe Mercury is going to move into control, because all these planets are sort of moving through and going through the same gates as the sun just went through. So we're having a repetition of that energy as it goes along. Now, April 4th, we're getting into the gate 51, and the gate 51 is a gate of shock. This is an individual energy. So, from the control of the tribe, this is a very tribal energy. In fact, all the will gates are tribal gates. We have this one gate amongst all of them, which is all about individuality. Now, this is where we could say, like, where the mutation of the individual sort of integrates or permeates the tribe, because it is within the will center. So it does come with some level of willpower when you think about that. The other thing is this is an individual voice, which is really different from the tribal voice. And so it can be difficult to express the individuality when you have this particular energy, especially if you have a lot of tribal energy, because this is surrounded by tribal energy. The thing about the mutation or the individuality is that it is meant to sort of get in there and put in some new, you could say, genetic material into like the tribe. So for instance, you have a tribe and they've always had the same people. Eventually they need to have new genetic material to go within that tribe. Otherwise you get into recessive genes, and you need new, something new to be injected into the tribe. And when that happens, then it changes the whole dynamic in some way. But again, we always know that with individuality, it's always going to be something that is one person at a time. And that's something to keep in mind and to remember. This type of mutation that happens from the gate 51, or any individuality at all, is always going to be something that is one at a time. And because of that, there could be some level of frustration. This is part of a projected channel, the 2551. We did the 25 a couple weeks ago, and it is the other side of the energy. So if we think about the 25 energy as a cool energy, or the energy that's kind of a calm energy. Now, you could look at it as the beauty and the beast. The beast is like the cartoon Beauty and the Beast. That beast would be the gate 51. That's the fire and energy to get out there, to do different things, to get that new experience, to sort of ride the edge of reality, to figure out what is beyond this reality, what is beyond this mundane world that I live in. And just wanting this hunger to see more than what you see in your world, to see more than the job you work, to see more than the family you have, to see more than the people you hang out with, or the regular routines of your life, to see more than that, to open a new door into a new reality is the biggest dream of anybody who carries this gate, because you want something more exciting than what you have in front of you, something that you feel is out there, something that you want to experience. And that's what this energy is all about. And this is an energy that, like I said, it is the fire side of the energy. And it's so there's a fire and a cool. So the fire goes out, finds the experience, and then it sort of moves into the cool, or it moves into the gate 25, and then it infuses it and says, okay, let's deliver this to the people. Because the gate 51, anybody who has heard Ra Uru talk, I'm not saying all the time, but he was very to the point, and very, some people would say, like he was very shocking in how he presented the information, the material. And and that was part of his experience, and it was part of his initiation, because this energy of shock is just that. It's that shock that sort of throws you into a new realm, and you can't really go back to the old world that you used to live in, because you know that it doesn't look the same anymore. You just can't be that same person anymore because you know something different. And that's where this energy shows up. And when that happens, you get this sort of awakening. This is a search for enlightenment. This is within your, when you carry this energy, this is within you to look for something new, to look for something important, something bigger than yourself. The other thing about this energy that I think is very interesting is that even with the gate 25, with a hanging gate 25, and you don't have the 51, you're always going to have some connection with electromagnetics, because that's the nature of the energy of human design. It's like you're always having these attractions. And now I know there are some people like like there was a couple of people that I knew that sort of went on these mystical experiences, and then they sort of they left everything, because that's another theme of this energy, to actually leave behind your life, to leave behind who you are, to actually go off in this search. And so when we talk about the gate 51, we do talk about the sacrifice to get to that enlightenment, to get to that awakening. There is usually some level of a sacrifice. Ra-Uru left his whole family and went off to Ibiza, and in fact I think he was even declared dead, or they thought he was dead or something like that. I mean, that's how dramatic it was for him. And I know there's another person, Pima Chodron. Now she is a sort of an inspirational writer, and I believe she Buddhism or something like that, and she's written several books. And I think what the one that I actually have of hers is Comfortable with Uncertainty, which I think is really a nice book. But it just basically just talks about this need to be uncomfortable with not knowing what the future will bring. But what happened with her, in fact, she had a very similar experience to Ra-Uru, where she actually got a divorce, left her family. She had two sort of small children, and then I think she went up, she might have went to Tibet, but don't quote me on that. But and she had this where she changed, and she became whatever you become as a female when you are sort of in the Buddhist religion. And now she has some sort of like, it's not an ashram, but it's like a place where she has people come, and like a spiritual place. So there was that. And then on a more mundane perspective, you have Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote the Eat, Pray and Love, or Eat, Love and Pray. I actually haven't read the book, but I know the book, and about the book, like the premise of it. And Julia Roberts had a movie, and she had the 25 hanging, and she actually went off after she got a divorce, and I guess was looking for spiritualism as well. So there's this hunger for spiritualism. And the last person that I thought was really interesting was also who really embodied this energy of this kind of breaking away to find something more, was John Lennon, who was with the Beatles, and then he decided that, he had to leave. Of course, he was with Yoko Ono at that particular point, but, was it her, or was it the idea that he always had this sort of inkling to do it, that he wanted to do it, and she was just that catalyst to make him break away and become his own person and do his own thing, and whatever that meant for him. So that's the kind of energy of this. And it can have some really life-changing, sudden and unexpected changes. There can be a need for excitement. There's a need to liven up the world, to sort of have an experience that is not like mundane, that's not just like every day. And if there could be also this idea that if you see other people and they seem to be having fun and an adventurous life, it could be like, gosh, I wish I could have that sort of thing. And there could be like a pining for something more, to actually have more than what you have. And so there's this level of wanting this excitement. There could be jumping into the I always say jumping into the abyss, because you just want to find something different. And it really is about this idea of just running into disorder to figure out what you can discover. And sometimes you'll discover something, but sometimes you won't, because that's the nature of the mystical experience. There is melancholy in this energy. So the thing about this energy is to work with it, is to understand that there is always going to be some, with individuality, there's always going to be some level of creativity involved within this. And whatever creativity looks like for you, it's doing something you love, whatever that is. It could be, dancing, or listening to nice music, or playing sports, or jogging, or anything. It really is about an expression of your thing. And I think that when we talk about individuality and individual energy, the one thing you really always have to have is something that belongs to you, just you as an individual. Because if you don't have that, and you sort of get consumed by the tribe, or you sort of start to lose yourself, and that's where this melancholy can really grow. So to always have some level of your own thing, your own whatever that is, that special thing that you do just for you is extremely important for this. The thing about creativity is that you are receptive to what comes in into your reality, and that is when these mystical experiences, when you're not looking for it, these mystical experiences or these life changing experiences can show up in your life, and something will happen and it will just completely turn what you knew on its head, and suddenly you have this awakening. And when I say awakening, it doesn't mean you're awake for the rest of your life. It is like one more step that you get to where you see things from a different perspective. Because awakening, I don't think is something that we just wake up one morning and we are awake. And I mean, I know people talk about that sort of idea, but I really do believe that it's something that slowly unfolds and transforms us. And one it's like one page at a time. We read the book of awakening in our lives, and it's one page at a time. And eventually you get to a different place, and then you sort of plateau, and then eventually you get to another place if you're trying to be open to what shows up. And I think when we look at this these people who have had these spiritual experiences, or these sort of what they consider awakening or enlightening experiences, we also always sort of look at it in this perspective of, oh, well, it's got to look like this, otherwise if it doesn't, then it really isn't something of value. But everybody's awakening is different. So Kevin Hart, for instance, has the 2551 channel, and I did a whole video on him, and he had this thing where, and if I spoke about this already, I apologize, but I'm just going to repeat it anyways, because I think it's a good example that he has this channel. And it was like when he was out having affairs on his wife was pregnant, and just living a really high life, like living the movie star life, and not spending time with his family, and working a lot, and just really living out whatever experience he could, whatever excitement he could get into his life. It was all about him, which is perfectly fine with individual energy, but it didn't feel like it was about him expressing himself more than just actually wanting to have some excitement. He did get in that very bad car accident where he broke his back, and then when he came back, it was like a brand new awakening he had. And he saw the world in a different way, and he knew that he couldn't go back to the way he used to be. Now, if that continues to stay, I don't know, but that was how it worked out for him. The other thing is that I did say this is projected energy. So this is always going to be about when you've had that enlightened experience, or you've had that awakening of some sort, whatever that is, and you want to share, because this is all about sharing it with the tribe. There is this tribal connection that you'll always want to come back to the tribe and give them the information and the energy that you have learned, so that they can be mutated and shifted as well. That's the whole point of it. The whole thing about this is that if you want to initiate people, it's all about being invited or recognized to do this, because it is a projected channel. If that happens, then they're going to receive you the way that you want them to, in the best possible way. But if you're not waiting for the recognition or the invitation, then what will happen, or can potentially happen, is that you will just shock them, and sort of shatter them. And basically you'll shock them, and it will be of no value, because really it's just about, oh, that person's just kind of being out there, they're being bizarre, or they're doing these things. But if they ask you, or they're recognizing you for it, then suddenly they're open to what you have to say, and those mystical experiences, or whatever you need to share with them. So that's the kind of energy that we're working with this week. And it is going to be a full channel with the 25, because the 25 is going to be until the 6th. We have the 51 and the 25 going, and that's going to be the full channel. So we could see, like I said, some awakening or some interesting experiences that might be happening for people, and for all of us, really, that's going to be potentially happening. Right now, the Earth is in the gate 48. We talked about that. And this is that idea of always wanting to have more information. It is one of the fear gates of the spleen. And it is one of the awareness gates as well, because all the gates for the spleen the spleen is an awareness center. So all the gates are a level of awareness. With the spleen, it's always something in the moment. This is a momentary awareness, and we sort of build on that moment of awareness. But again, it's always going to be especially with the gate 48. So when we talk about these awareness of the gate 48, it's like pushing through the fear of inadequacy, pushing through the idea that you don't know enough, pushing through all the concepts that say that it's not the right time for you because you just need one more thing, one more course, one more day to study, one more month to hone your skills. Whereas most times when you carry this energy, you're ready, this is time to move on and to jump into the fray of life and show the world what you have to share, because it is, again, logical energy and it is collective, and this is meant to share. This is not meant to just hold on to all this information. There's a reason why you have this information. It is to share with the collective and show them what you know. And on April 4th, we have the Earth going into the gate 57, and that's another splenic gate. So this is all about the idea of this natural intuitive ability. Like, you can actually hear the truth in people's voices. You're talking on the phone and someone's talking to you, and you can hear if someone's being truthful or not. There's this idea of seeing the future before it happens, and also concept of the fear that comes here is really about the fear of the future. What will the future show up? Like, if I see something in the future and I don't like it, and I'm scared, I don't want the future to come. So sometimes we can look at a future. My meditation teacher said that she once had a student, and she told the student that she had this premonition that the student was going to meet somebody and at work, and that they would get married or something like that. And then the student got so she just didn't want that to happen. She, for some reason, it scared her, and she quit her job. And I mean, that's what you can do. You can shift your reality. So this is all about this ability to have this intuition, to be able to know what's going to happen. And the thing about this is, there can be, like I said, a fear with this, a fear to step into the future, a fear to move forward into life. And the thing about this is that it's just about understanding that the future is going to come whether you want it to or not, and to try and be open to what you see. And sometimes you might think some bad things are going to happen, because we always have the mind that sort of comes in and stirs us up and decides and tries to tell us, that bad things are going to happen, and maybe it's not the way you think it's going to happen. It doesn't mean you don't have the intuition, but sometimes we have an intuitive thought and we sort of dress it up in a way that it doesn't feel good, it's negative or something like that, and that may not be exactly what it is. Because we always have to remember, intuition is like sticking your hands into the ocean, and you just bring your hands out and you have little droplets of water on your hands, and that's literally what intuition is. It is only these little drops, and we don't have a full picture, but we might have a hint or like a breadcrumb for something that might come into the future. So this is the kind of energy. So you might be getting intuitive hits this week. Like, and an intuitive hit with a gate 57 is always going to be something that just comes in the moment and then it goes. It's not something that will tell you over and over again, because that's what the spleen is all about. It's in the now. It's a quick moment. It's a quick blip. Now, if you have splenic awareness and you've been sort of honing it in, you might actually be able to get some really good intuitive hits right now to sort of show you some kind of a glimpse of what might come in the future. But it's something to be open to see what shows up in your intuitive energy, and if anything shows up that does eventually come out in the future. We do know that this is what the earth, when we're talking about the earth, we're always talking about what we are receiving. So we could be receiving, like I said, intuition. Right now we have Mercury in the gate 25, which is all about that energy that I was talking about. It's going to be the 2551 until April 6th, and then on April 6th we're going to be moving into the gate 17. The gate 17 is a gate that we just did not long ago, and that when the sun went through. When we're talking about anything with Mercury, we're always talking about the idea of what we're going to hear in the media, what we're talking about. It's basically the communication. Mercury is all about the communication. It could be in your local community. It could be the media, what you hear on the news, those types of things. Right now, like I said, we still have the 2551. We might hear about some shocking things that are happening. And, but again, we could have our own personal sort of awakenings where we're feeling that we have heard or something that something that's sort of connected with us that has changed us in some way. So that's something to keep in mind. And also on April 6th, we have, like I said, the opinions at gate 17, which is all about this idea of everybody sort of giving their idea, their comments, that this is what I think about this, and this is what I don't think about that. they're giving their opinions, whether you want to hear them or not. Or there, you could have this idea where people are having their opinions and they're marinating them and they're waiting for them to be sort of more distilled, better than what they are, because it is, again, another awareness center, and this is from the ajna. And so the opinions are always sort of getting better, you could say. It's like fine wine. Opinions are like fine wine. If you allow it to actually marinate, do what it's supposed to do, or age in some way, so you're getting more information, you're getting a better perspective, you're getting more rationale, more foundation for your opinions, rather than just blurting them out. You could have a fine bottle of wine, or you could have a cheap bottle of wine that doesn't taste good. And again, this is projected energy. It's always going to be energy that is best if people are asking, what do you think about this, and that type of thing. If you want more about the opinions, you can watch the video about opinions as well, the gate 17. And there's a whole, like I said, on the community tab, there's information about every line of the gate 17. There is a humanitarian perspective of this, and equality of energy. So we could hear about people wanting equal rights, people talking about that this desire to have equal rights, and letting everybody sort of be where they're meant to be, and not having them sort of try and conform to the expectations of others. Because everybody has a place on this planet. Everybody has something that they can do, that they're good at, that they like doing. And that's where we're sort of wanting to move into the future, where everybody's doing what they want to do, rather than always being pigeonholed or stuck in some place, because that's where we need you, as opposed to where you actually as a human being want to be. April 9th, we have Mercury going into the gate 21. This is, again, the tribal energy, the control. This is talking about feeling like you're being controlled, feeling that like you're being controlled by the system, that things are out of your hands, that you don't have the ability to sort of do what you want to do because everybody's pressuring you. The other perspective is this idea of starting to control your finances, starting to control your own things, like maybe deciding that you want to take more control of your life. Maybe you feel like you've always been passing it to other people, and now you want to start to say, yeah, no, I want to take control for my future. I'm going to make the decisions, and I'm going to make the decisions that work for me, and that's what I'm going to do. Again, this is always going to be some tribal energy, so it could be taking control of things that will help other people, or things that sort of will affect other people. You could be coming into a place of control. This can be about money management too, because anything with the gate 21 is all about business energy. So we could see, maybe in the business world, we could see something like more control, more of those regulators coming in and starting to say, okay, in the business world, and I know with trading and all that kind of stuff, we could see more regulators coming in to talk about the business world, because it is an abundance sort of resource kind of component to the energy of the 21 at all points. Right now, Venus is in the gate 51, in the gate of shock, which we talked a lot about. So this is about, like I said, shocking things happening with females, Venusian energy, shocking things happening with sort of the feminine energy, new insights on the luxuries of life and what they mean to you. And maybe the luxuries of life are saying, I want to get into some different things, like some meditation. I want to do something that is sort of opening me up to something new. So opening me up to some sort of an awakening in a way that I'm feeling comfortable and relaxed, and sort of opening myself to be receptive to something new. This could be moving into something new through creative expression. And remember, there's always potential for melancholy to come with this energy, because it is an individual energy. So that is something to keep in mind as well. April 7th, we have Venus moving into the gate 42. And actually next week, we have the sun moving into the gate 42. So when we get to the gate 42, this is abstract collective energy. So this is all about the energy of closing. It is the maturation. It's the ending time of a cycle. This is where we have planted our garden. We have harvested all the vegetables or whatever fruits, whatever we have. We've harvested it all, and we're looking at all the things that we know from that particular season. For instance, tomato plants, because that's something I actually grow myself. So for instance, one year I planted my tomatoes and they had what was called some black spot or some roots. I think it's like a root. It's called root rot or something like that. So basically it's like a black spot that comes to the back, the bottom of the tomato. And what happens is it sort of wrecks the fruit, and not all of it got wrecked, but what it did say was that there needed to be more nitrogen in the soil. So what I needed to do was I needed to prepare the soil after I had taken out those plants, prepare the soil and add some extra thing, like it was called like some special fertilizers that I had to put in the soil. So from that planting season, I learned that I needed to add something extra to the soil. I learned that these were things that I can do better in the future. So this is what the gate 42 is all about. What have you learned from this cycle? It is closing up. You have sort of reaped everything you can from this cycle, and you're going to be preparing the soil for a new cycle, a new seeding of the cycle, which is the gate 53, which will be coming in the future. And we'll talk about that when it comes. This is the ending. So the last time the gate 53 was the 23rd to the 28th of August 2020. So that could have been that's when the Venus actually transited the gate 53 last time, which is the beginning of a cycle, the seeding of a cycle. So that could be something that was seeded back then, and now it's coming to a close, and you're preparing the soil for the next seeding. You have to remember that this is going to be something that is related to the material for the most part, because it's Venusian. Something related to Venus, particularly, it could be romance, it could be a relationship, it could be something material because it is Venus, it could be like money, it could be the business, like a business that you started. And so when we talk about a cycle, it doesn't mean that it's closing. It just means that maybe you're getting to a point where you're starting to mature through this energy and understand something different about the whole cycle, that something different about whatever you started. How can you get it better going forward into the future? And that's sort of where you're at with this energy. The thing is a lot of people don't like the ending of cycle, but you also have to remember, after every sunset, there's always a sunrise. And that's the most important part. So if we look at the card, we see that it's the sun is setting, she's closing the curtain, but in the morning there'll be a new sunrise, and that's when the gate 53 comes in and we start to plant the seeds again. Or the gate 3, which is a difficult beginning, which is on April 12th, we have Venus going into the gate 3, and that's when we get into the 360 energy, which I'll talk a lot more about next week, because that's when it's going to be happening. But the 360 energy, which is this new mutative energy, this is a new pulse, a new it's one of the format energies, or in other words, it's one of the energies of the root center, and it is this energy that pulses on and pulses off. This is difficult beginnings that bring a mutation into the world, and this is a big one, because we have Pluto coming in there, transforming the world. And Pluto, like I said, any gate Pluto goes through, it is never the same afterwards. When it goes through, after it goes through, that's 256 years for Pluto to go around the whole mandala, which means that it's going to spend a lot of time in a gate, and it won't be back for a very long time. Not in anybody's lifetime will Pluto be in gate 60 again, and it won't be in gate 61 like it was for most of 2020 last year. So these are things that we know, that these energies are completely shifting and changing, and they'll never be the same. And how it all looks for everybody is all individual, but on the collective scale, because Pluto is generational energy, because it is so big, it is something that will unfold over time. And as time goes on, we'll see more and more. Right now, Mars is in the gate 45, and that's doing the full channel for just another day or so to do the 2145, which is, it's a manifestation channel, comes from the will center right to the throat. So a lot of willful energy to get the abundance, to take care of the people, to move forward into the future and support the tribe and support the people that matter to you, to get the resources and all the things that we need to survive. This is the most mundane of energy, but is the energy that we need, because we can't live on air. We need to have food. We need to have shelter. These human bodies are not meant to not be taken care of. That's the most important part of it, is that we need to take care of our bodies, and we need all those things. So people might look down at the energy of the 2145 and say, oh, it's just base energy. But the reality is, this is the life force for everybody. We all need energy to survive. This is the voice of the people, whereas the gate 21 is the power and control of the people. So you always have a leader, and the 45 is the leader that talks to the people, and you would hope is going to be a leader that is supporting the people. Yes, they do get their perks because they are the leader, but they also support the people, because they know that without the people, they are not not going to be a leader. If you don't have a group, you're never going to be a leader. You can pretend you're a leader, a rooster in a farmhouse, but they're just the rooster and there's no hens around. So they're a leader, sure, but they don't really have any domain because it's just them. It could be all about this aggressive kind of, I need my money, I need my abundance, I need to get what I want to get, because it is with the Mars energy and this push of my way or the highway. This is a tribe, and we speak, and we're going to push our way. And what I do feel, like I said, is this weekend is for many people. Many Christians are celebrating Easter, and I think that anybody who is preventing people from attending the services in the churches that they want to attend may find that they have a little bit of work on their hands, because this willfulness of we will celebrate the way we want to celebrate. We will attend what we want to attend. We will do all the things we want to do because we have a right to, and this is a voice of the tribe. And this could be the energy we could be seeing happening for the next couple of days for this Easter weekend. April 11th, we have Mars moving into gate 12, and the gate 12 is going to connect with the with Neptune, and it will make a full channel of the 1222. So that's a new energy. This is going to be a very creative energy, and this is a social energy of the individual. So this is about creating, because creating feels good, because you want to create, because you want to express yourself, and it not necessarily about whether people accept you for what you've created or accept your creation as anything that they're liking. It's about you creating because it feels good for you. This is individual energy. This could be a very passionate energy, being passionate about what you want. This goes right from the solar plexus to the throat. So passionately talking about what you want, you're going to have the voice to do it because you have a motor directly to the throat. There's potential for manifestation with this energy. There's potential to create new and unheard of things that maybe not everybody understands, like I said, but things that you understand. There's the social energy with this, and it is about just being your own self, doing your own thing and allowing it to all flow, and just sort of directing that energy into something that makes you feel really good about what you're doing. And that's ultimately what it's about. When we talk about the gate 12, there is a melancholy in this, and that is all the concept is that you don't have anybody to tell the important things and the interesting things and the mutative things to. You don't have anybody to tell them to. And that's where the gate 12 can be. It could be like sort of that melancholy comes in and says, I don't have anybody worthwhile to talk to about what I have to talk to them about. I don't have anybody worthwhile to tell the sort of interesting and mutative ideas or the brand new concepts that I have within me. I don't have anybody to share that with. You really choose who you want to speak to and who you want to sort of not let them hear what you have to say when you talk about the retreat of the gate 12. It is all about being authentic and authenticity. There is a potential for some level of prophecy within this energy. Gate 12 in the line 4 is considered the prophet. That's what it's called. That's the key word from the I Ching, the Rave I Ching. And so there can be this ability to connect with an ethereal realm, or maybe you will have an ability to connect with something that you haven't done before. So I think that if there's anything that can be said about the week coming up, is there is going to be a lot of mystical energy, or potential for mystical energy, or potential for something to show up that you really are kind of surprised and you couldn't really expect it, because it kind of comes out of nowhere, especially when you have the gate 57 showing up, and intuitive, and a lot of individual energy just showing up to say something different out there that maybe you haven't actually spotted. And so let's see. So there could be this pushing of this individuality, like I am who I am, accept me who I am. That's the Martian energy, that sort of aggressive push to be exactly who you are and not really conform to anything that anybody has to say, and just kind of doing your own thing and allowing it to flow and being okay with that, and just expressing your individuality because you have every right and ability to do it. Right now, Jupiter's in gate 49, as it has been for a while. April 8th, we have it moving into the gate 30. And so that is going to break up that 1949 energy, the tribal energy, the emotional tribal energy that we've had for quite a while. Saturn will remain in the gate 19, but Jupiter will be moving. So we know that Jupiter and Saturn had a meeting, or what's called a conjunction, on the 20th of December 2020. And that's when they both met up in the gate 41. So Jupiter started to bring in something. Okay, some idea, some new experience, because remember, the gate 41 is the initiating codon. This is the beginning of an experience. This is the beginning of thinking about something that you want to experience. This could be about bringing something into manifestation, because ultimately it eventually gets up to the throat, and that's when you bring this new experience into reality, whatever that is. So it initiated this, it started this in December 20th, 2020, and now we have the energy of Jupiter getting into the gate 30, saying, okay, this is the other side of it. This is the desire, the holding on. So now we started out with the gate 41. You started out with this idea, this inspiration, this dream, this thing that you want to make happen. There's a couple of ways you could have looked at it. You could have started to do something with that dream, started to sort of work on some ideas, try to expand it, trying to look at different ways that you could bring it into, because it is fantasy, right? It is bringing your fantasy from your mind into something else. Now Jupiter comes in and says, what have you done with this energy? What have you done with what you thought you were going to do? What have you done with that idea, that new thing, that initiating codon that was activated? Now it's saying, okay, what's worth holding on to and what's worth letting go? Let's go through it. Because this is the next step to the experience. We have the 41, now we have the 30. And now we're moving into, let's go into the next step. What's worth holding on to? What are we going to get rid of? And how are you going to sort of this is like, I would say, like the fire. So this could be saying, okay, well, what I thought I wanted to do in the beginning is not what I want to do anymore. It's not worth it. I'm going to let go, right? Because I know that it's not for me. I've had some time. I thought about it. It was a nice dream, but in reality, I don't think it's going to be something that I care to actually bring into reality. It's not something I care to make something real. Or it could be, like I said, you feel like maybe you haven't done enough and maybe you need to get back at it. Or the other perspective is you might have been working along all along. And this is just giving you that extra, like, because sometimes what happens is when we start something new, we sort of lose that passion. We lose that oomph, and we just say, gee, you know what? I don't know. I've been doing this and I've been thinking about this and I'm just done because I don't see anything really happening with this. This energy comes in and says, oh no, here's the passion you need. Here's the fire. Let's relight that fire, because we always have a pilot light. Maybe it's turned down. This will turn the pilot light up to a level of intensity that is going to make it important or make it bigger than it was. And we have Jupiter. Jupiter is going to expand a lot. So this can be expanding to the point where it's a little bit too much. So you have to keep that in mind. This intensity and holding on can be over the top. So always try and look at how far you're going, how much you're holding on, because with this energy, you can have this idea that you can keep talking about it and you keep saying over and over again, and people get kind of tired of it. So at this point, it might be just kind of quietly working on whatever you're working on, letting that passion within you build, and because eventually it is pressure, and it'll eventually start to go somewhere else. It'll start to move into the next stage, because that's what happens. It's all stages of creation that happen, that begin with the beginning, which is a 41, and then move on. So it's a big energy to shift this week, that we might really feel a difference in that, maybe that resurgence of passion for that dream or that thing that we've been wanting to bring into manifestation. Big things happening for Chiron. We finally have it moving out of the gate 17 into the gate 21. I think it might actually dip back to the gate 17, but as of the April 9th, it will start to move into the gate 21. And so again, it'll be a lot of this control, this tribal energy, changing your outlook on control. What does it feel like? Is it important? How can you work with it so that you're feeling more that you're in control? Is it control of your life? Is it control of other people? This will be a time where we start to see that potential wounded part of the control part, because Chiron always brings the wounds to the surface so that we can see them, and then when we see them, we can start to heal them in some way. They're never like, if we carried this as our own gate by helping others with this energy, you start to heal it in a way that it starts to feel better. So it starts to soothe it. So rather than always being this deep wound, it starts to soothe the wound. So it's there, but it's not as sort of prevalent. So this is about healing these concepts of control and being controlled. And I would say, as a generalized perspective of the world, in that, are people feeling controlled? And I think that there's a lot of that right now. I think that if there's anything that we have really found that we've lost a lot of in the last little, year and a half, is that we have lost a lot of the control that we felt that we had, the control to be able to get on a plane and go anywhere we wanted. You could just get up and go where you wanted to go. And now there's so many controls. There are many things that are stopping us from where we want to go. And how can we make peace with that? Because the reality is, there are going to still be some level of controls going forward. That's part of this new energy that we're in. This is part of the new reality that we're in. There'll always be these mitigating factors that can kind of give us back some level of control, but there's always this other sort of thing that we don't have that ability to just do as we were before. And now it's a time to sort of look at that and say, okay, how can I make peace with the amount of control that is in my life, that is in society, or whatever? How can I make peace with that? I may not heal it perfectly, but can I make peace with it so that I feel like I'm not completely oppressed by it? And as you know, because you can feel oppressed by this. You can feel like you're so controlled that you don't feel like you can go anywhere, do anything, and it gets to be so overwhelming that it's almost like you just want to break free, or you want to. Sometimes you'll just abdicate and you'll just let go and not even try anymore. And that's something to keep in mind with this energy. And those are the transits in a nutshell. I hope you enjoyed them, and I hope you have a super week, and I will see you in the community tab. Take care, and bye for now.